Greetings everyone, welcome. We'll be discussing the week of July 6th. This week, the sky is telling us that whatever you've been suppressing, you'll start seeing it manifest in your daily life. Sometimes it will appear in a conversation, sometimes in a financial matter, sometimes in a small tension at home, and sometimes in a single sentence or silence from someone. In short, we may encounter emotions we've ignored for a long time this week. In fact, I'd say this week starts a little faster, a little bolder, and a little more inwardly sensitive. You might want to speak more openly. If you have vulnerabilities, they might surface within this openness. You might want to make a decision suddenly, send a message, go somewhere, or resolve an issue. You might feel like you want to talk about it, that you don't want it to stay inside, that you can't bear it anymore. Reactions are accelerating this week. Even a simple event can turn into a big explosion. Attention needs to be paid to this. Especially in the first part of the week, the question of, what do you want, will be very prominent. But this question won't come calmly. Sometimes, someone's behavior will trigger us. A conversation will start within the family. They'll point out those things we've been suppressing, those things we say we're forgetting, and we'll have an outburst like, I wasn't talking about it anyway, how dare someone point that out? Well, here we can realize that the problem isn't actually about today, but about something we've been carrying inside for a long time. It's not like someone said something to us and we took it and incredibly internalized it. It's about things we've been silent about for a long time, things related to yourself. For example, you can think, why did I react like this? Why? It wasn't actually that big of a deal. I don't understand why I reacted so strongly. Why? Quote, because you were silent, you were submissive, you withdrew. Even when you should have been expressing yourself, you held back, and now, when you're supposed to be thanking them, something is being done, something is being pointed out, it can really throw you off balance. There's that kind of energy. I'm trying to say this to draw attention to it. In relationships, who is making more sacrifices, who is silent, who is carrying the burden more, and who is only prioritizing their own needs may become much more apparent. Some relationships will have serious conversations. Let me state this clearly. Old resentments may resurface in some relationships. In others, a long-awaited closeness may manifest itself. So, a week with the possibility of important issues related to relationships awaits us. And now, if you have a relationship, you will see if it is truly solid or if you are continuing some relationships out of habit. That is someone staying because they don't want to lose you, or are they staying with you for their own benefit? When I say for their own benefit, I don't necessarily mean to gain something from you. They might be afraid of being alone, afraid of losing you, etc., but are they bringing you happiness or not? We will be doing a little questioning of these things. So, an old debt, an old receivable, or a forgotten financial matter may resurface. But this week, the topic isn't money. I can say this clearly for all zodiac signs. This week, there's an influence that's triggering our sense of self-worth. Are you getting the reward for your efforts? In a relationship or at work, within the family, are you giving too much and receiving too little? Are you constantly putting your own needs off? For example, you want to buy something, but are you actually doing it to make yourself feel good? Or you want to buy something, but you think, let me take care of these things first, then the child's needs, then the house's needs, then my mother's needs, my father's needs, my siblings' needs, and only then do I get to you? We're talking about an influence that will bring all of these things to light one by one. Because life no longer wants you to put yourself in the background. There might be a change in routine, you might need to have a conversation. An old issue might resurface, but if things need to change, if things aren't really satisfying you anymore, if you're just relying on things to get through life, not being happy, not enjoying life, but just getting through the day, waking up in the morning hoping it will end, fulfilling your duties, then this influence will reveal all of this. If things are ending and you're somehow progressing towards sleeping, it's trying to show you that you need to see these things and make some changes to your plans. So you can reconsider the decisions you've made. You can reconsider the steps you've taken. You can reconsider the choices you've made before. It wants you to focus more on what you need to do to live life more excitingly. You might experience stress related to health, insomnia, and mental fatigue. Because this week, It wants you to be a little calmer. It's saying you need to relax a bit from constant responsibility, constant thinking, mental fatigue, mental and physical burdens. You didn't just come to life to fulfill things, my dear friend. You are here to live, to have fun, to enjoy life. And whatever is preventing you from enjoying life, I will bring those things to your attention this week. These might be a little more difficult. Facing them might make you wonder why you're experiencing these things. But where you ask yourself why you're experiencing these things, that's where you'll want to make a new plan for yourself. It wants you to shift these aspects a bit. So this week, if you have any questions you've been pondering for a long time, you might experience some clarification regarding those things. Towards the end of the week, communication tends to increase. You might be more social, meet more people, participate in more activities, make multiple plans, and try to resolve several issues. I can say there's a certain effect here. So, things might not go perfectly this week. There might be tension in conversations. Some things might need changing. But essentially, how should you establish a system to avoid exhausting yourself? This is a week that requires you to think about that a little more. For many of us, it's a week of confronting and finding direction. You can think of it as first confronting things, then determining our direction. Now, let's move on to the horoscopes. But before we get to the horoscopes, if you like the video, subscribe, and comment, you'll make me very happy. Thank you all so much for your support. And now I'll move on to the horoscopes. Aries and rising Aries, welcome. We're together for the week of July 6th. This week, you are right in the center of the stage, dear Aries, but this isn't just any week of, I'm strong, I can do it, I'll handle it. This week, life is actually trying to tell you something deeper. It's a week of becoming aware of yourself, your body, your decisions, your anger, your hurt, and the weariness you've been carrying inside for so long. You're starting the week very strongly. You are strong, you are active, fast, and a little emotional. Something is stirring inside you. You might want to make a decision suddenly. You might want to go somewhere suddenly. You might want to talk about something. If there's a message you've been waiting to send, you might finally send it. There are short trips, increased communication, and more activity with your siblings and cousins. You might receive news. For example, a sentence someone says might spark something in your mind. It could open another door. It might give rise to an idea like, why didn't I think of this before? There's something very important here, dear Aries. This week, your mind may be working very fast, but your heart may not be able to process these matters at the same pace. In other words, you appear very strong on the outside. You are determined and clear-headed, but inside, there might be a little confusion, a sensitivity, a bit of a, what do I really want? Feeling. On one hand, you want to move forward, but on the other hand, you feel like an emotion from the past is holding you back. This could especially be related to family, home, living arrangements, or parents. If there are any unspoken issues at home, they might surface this week. For example, a simple issue at home could escalate. It could be about an object, a room, a moving plan, or a conversation with older family members, an unresolved matter from the past. You might just say, I want to express my opinion, but the other person might perceive it harshly. Or, conversely, someone might say something that makes you realize something that has been building up inside you for years. It will open an old door for you, revealing how much you've kept silent, how much you've bottled up inside. Opening that old door might make you angry because you've been suppressing things. So you might think, how could I have slept through all this? How could I not have noticed these things all this time? But you will notice them so you can finally move away from them. So that's one of its effects. Don't think that everything that comes your way will necessarily be a problem. Things that seem like problems can bring about bigger improvements in your life, and you need to avoid reacting too quickly. It's important to proceed with your reactions in a more planned and strategic way. Later in the week, expenses, earnings, and shared finances may come to the forefront. For example, a payment might come up, or you might want to buy something but need to deal with an expense you've been putting off for a while. But you can also make a pleasant purchase. You might want to buy something that makes you feel good, take care of your appearance, do some grooming, buy clothes, get a cosmetic touch, do something related to yourself. We continue without forgetting Mercury retrograde, but if you're going to make small changes, if it's something unplanned, if it's a point where you suddenly say, I want to do something now, you need to stay calm. Waiting until the end of the month will be much better for you. Also, the issue of self-worth comes to the fore. That is, the time you dedicate to yourself, the value you place on yourself, whether you receive something in return for your efforts, whether it's in a relationship or at work. How much are you giving? How much of what you're giving is visible? And you might find yourself questioning, you're giving, but what's left for you? I'm not talking about a reckoning. It's more about seeing your own reality. What I'm trying to say is that this week is a little interesting in terms of love and relationships. You might be warmer, more lively, more flirtatious. If you like someone, texting might increase. For example, if you have a child, there might be a positive development related to your child. You might have sweet conversations with your boyfriend, spouse, or someone you like, but at the same time, a situation that makes you feel very sensitive might occur. For example, you texted someone and they responded a little late. Someone showed you unexpected attention. Or let's say they didn't show the attention you expected. That's more accurate. It can suddenly amplify that feeling of worthlessness inside you. Am I loved enough? Am I behaving correctly to be loved? Am I holding back? You might find yourself turning the blame inward, wondering if there's something wrong with you. What should I do? Am I holding myself back too much? Am I not giving my energy? Your desire for love is very real, but you need to avoid exhausting yourself while seeking it, because sometimes you might be hiding your hurt feelings to appear strong. Then that hurt might erupt elsewhere in a different way. Actually, a point you're keeping quiet about to avoid problems might be causing completely different problems in your life. On the other hand, you're entering a period where you'll be very active in matters related to your siblings, close circle, and mental aspects. Suddenly, your plans might change. You might need to go somewhere, have a meeting, or receive news that might motivate you. Especially if it's work, education, or something related to social media. You might experience rapid progress in short-term plans. But it's also important to say that hastily spoken words can break hearts this week. You might think and respond very quickly this week. You might think, I told the truth. Yes, that might be true, but the way you tell the truth will be very decisive this week, because the people you're dealing with are sensitive. And you are sensitive too, and everyone seems to have that old wound a little more open this week. A single sentence could take us back to those old wounds. This could be you, or it could be the person you're talking to. You can heal the other person with your words, or you can take the conversation in a completely different direction. Afterwards, an offer, a piece of news, or a meeting could energize you. Especially if you're self-employed, dear Aries, you might want to be visible on social media. If you're selling, training, or consulting, you could experience rapid momentum and great returns this week. It's also a good time to organize your thoughts. If you're getting a lot of ideas, and there will be more, where is your path really headed? What are the things that will bring you long-term gains, not just momentary excitement? It's important to filter these ideas and proceed accordingly, because you'll have multiple ideas coming to mind. As I said, they might all excite you, they might all be good, but what will bring you long-term gains? Distinguishing that will be more important. This week you might feel like you're pushing yourself too hard. If you already are, your body will be trying to tell you in some way. It will be saying, could you please slow down? But you know what the best part of this week is? Life is putting things in front of you to make you more honest with yourself. A conversation about family, a financial matter, a message, a trip, an agenda related to your sibling or close circle. It can clearly show you that you no longer want to act with old reflexes. Where you used to immediately argue, now you'll stop and think. You'll be more strategic, more decisive. Before, you used to try to prove yourself. Maybe you'll say, I'm already valuable. Those who understand me, understand me. I know myself. Even if they don't understand, it's okay. Quote, it will actually be shifting your perspective in that way. I'd call it a week of powerful awakening. There's a bit of speed, a bit of tension, some old family issues, and financial matters, but there's also a very strong potential for recovery. Especially conversations, news, and connections with your close circle can open new doors for you. You just need to avoid immediately reacting to every emotion that comes your way. Because the emotion that will rise within you this week is actually trying to show you a truth you've been suppressing for years. Yes, it might be a little difficult, but realizing this is very important for you. You don't just exist by struggling. Now you're listening to yourself even when you're speeding up. You're protecting your heart even when you're speaking. You don't have to forget yourself while trying to keep up with your family, loved ones, work, and money. And when you realize this, I can say that you will be the biggest winner this week. I've explained all my notes. Thank you for listening. If you like the video, subscribe and comment. You will make me very happy. Thank you for your support. See you in the next video. Goodbye. Dear Taurus, rising Taurus, my dear fellow zodiac signs, welcome. We are together for the week of July 6th. I can say that this week will be a week where something changes within you. More on the horizon, I'd say, is a week where you'll find yourself thinking to yourself, repeating certain sentences in your mind, recalling past events, and recognizing unresolved issues from the past. It's like I've already poured water on myself at the beginning of the week. You might want to be a little more alone at the start of the week, to distance yourself from people. And none of this is for nothing, because this week wants to show you an emotion you've been ignoring for a long time. That's why it's working. Maybe you'll realize you don't trust someone as much as you used to. Maybe you'll realize you've internalized a certain issue much more deeply. Maybe you'll see how deeply that thing you thought you weren't making a big deal out of until now actually has taken root inside you. This week, you might especially sense hidden issues, behind-the-scenes matters, unspoken things. Your intuition might be active. You might see someone's intentions, the true state of affairs, what's been said to you, what hasn't been said, through revealing influences. And besides your intuition, things might come to light. So that's how it is. Now, you need to avoid confusing intuition with fear. You need to separate your inner voice from your anxiety. Let me be clear about this, because something inside you will constantly be talking. Okay, there are old resentments, old fears. But are these being expressed by your anxieties or your intuition? It's important to distinguish between these things. For example, in relationships, when you say, I sense this, are you really sensing it? Or is it your mind completing the narrative, based on past insecurities and anxiety problems? Distinguishing between these is crucial. Because here, your anxieties and fears can act like your intuition. You need to be careful. This week, an old wound related to yourself might become more visible. What is this? Issues like whether you are valued, whether you are considered sufficient, whether you are truly accepted when loved, these things might touch your heart. Even a small comment from someone can affect you more than you think. Even in situations where you would normally dismiss something, you might see things that really bother you this week. Because it's not about that single word, it's about the question of how valuable you are, a question that has been building up inside you for years. How valuable do you feel? How much do those around you know your worth? Do you become demoralized when no one recognizes your value, or is it enough for you to know your own worth? These kinds of questions will lead to further discussions. It's like the sky is trying to show you the importance of the value you place on yourself. You don't need anyone, but we all, from time to time, want to feel that way. I'm working so hard, I'm striving so much, and I want to receive something in return. For your loved ones, for something you've taken responsibility for, if someone trusts you, you'll do more than your best to reciprocate. But when you don't receive that reciprocation, it's like, am I stupid? No, you are living your own personality. They are those people. They may not appreciate certain things. They may not see certain things. That's their problem. Maybe they see it as something petty. Maybe they want to take credit for what you've done. So, it's entirely up to you to determine your reaction. Your character, your choices, and your reactions to events. For example, someone provoked me, and I yelled back. People can provoke others. What I'm trying to say is that how we behave is entirely up to us. Actually, I could elaborate on this a lot. I'll continue without going into too much detail. A home-related issue might come up. If you're considering buying or selling a house, or making some arrangements at home, or setting up a meal for loved ones, these kinds of things can come up. There's a bit of activity in the house, a bit of a crowd, a bit of communication, a desire to make it a nicer place. Or you might receive support from family, for example. Or there might be a financial discussion with family. These are the kinds of influences. Now, it's not just pleasant moments with family, but old conversations can also resurface. A word said in the past, something related to your sibling, your close circle, a small issue within your family, a message, for example, can be brought up. A message can open up a topic. It can go in completely different directions. There might be resentment. A situation might arise where, regarding a topic related to them, you think, oh yes, I've experienced something like that too. Even if the topic isn't directly brought up, you might be drawn into a conversation about the past while other things are being discussed. There's also significant activity related to your close circle. Your close circle could be people you see frequently, close friends, cousins, siblings. I'm talking about people you consider close. You might take short trips together, have more meetings, or exchange more messages. You might need to travel somewhere, or have a meeting. An old piece of news might resurface. For example, you might think, okay, there were misunderstandings here. I can correct them now if I want to. Quote. The important thing to remember is that if you try to be right in every conversation, you might miss what you really want to hear. The key is to focus on what you want, what your purpose is, and how you achieve it. It doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. What do you want to achieve? You need to focus on that and move forward with it. Or, if you want to be right about something, maybe you are very right and you will be proven right, but you will see that being right doesn't make sense if you don't get what you want. Regarding your career, you might feel like things are getting out of hand. You might feel like you want more. This position, this job, doesn't satisfy you spiritually or materially. I'm talking about the possibility of giving so much more, but not getting what you want in return. You might be questioning this internally. Meanwhile, you might have more time to spend with your family, including family, making plans that involve them. Of course, if you live alone or are far from your family, you might also be in more contact with close friends. Regarding love, an old pattern might be closing for you. You might completely distance yourself from a relationship that constantly makes you feel worthless, keeps you waiting, doesn't reciprocate, and makes you doubt yourself. I'm not saying it's a drastic break, but you make a decision. You know how sometimes it is, you say, I don't want to feel this way anymore. That's exactly what this week is about, a very important week of self-awareness regarding love for Taurus. If you're in a relationship that makes you question yourself, you do something you're very sure about, then you think, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Yes, I did. I angered them. Why did I do that? Of course, if I do that, this is what happens. If a person constantly makes you feel worthless, guilty, and questioned, you'll realize that you don't want to continue in the same way, that you're making decisions about it. Of course, you can set boundaries in different ways in your life. You can distance yourself, you can create space, you can leave, you can stay, you can create different strategies, but it will be a process where you realize that you don't want to continue in the same way. By the way, regarding health, you might feel tired because of the issue of self-worth. If you're not receiving the value you want, you might feel exhausted, weak, absent-minded, and low in energy. All of this is actually a need to pull yourself together. On the one hand, it's about making your energy much more visible. And as long as you recognize your own worth, this is a great opportunity to move forward as you wish. The strongest message for you this week is that you no longer want to just endure things. You want peace, and that peace means identifying the people who are wearing you down. It means wanting the reward for your efforts, feeling safe and secure in your home, and not exhausting yourself while working. All of this will be presented to you this week. You may experience events that will show their effect with a message, a conversation, something that needs to change. My dear fellow Geminis, thank you for listening. If you like the video, subscribe, and comment, you will make me very happy. Thank you all so much for your support. Thank you very much. See you soon. Goodbye. Welcome, Gemini and Gemini rising. This week is the week for you to stop waiting. We are starting the week of July 6th, and that urge to take action that you've been accumulating is reaching its peak. It's a week where you really want to speed up your life, make a new decision, be unable to stay still, and try to keep up with several things at once. The important thing here is this week you're not just moving. You're re-aware of yourself. At the beginning of the week, your environment, friends, groups, teams, plans, invitations, dreams, and goals are a little more prominent. You might have an important conversation with a friend. You might question your place within a group. Can I really appear as I want to appear here? Can I act as I want to act? Can I live as I feel from within? There might be a clarification in a friendship. Who is truly by your side? Who are the people who truly make you feel like you're surrounded by people? You can see these things clearly. If you have a plan, a project, or a social media related job, there might be activity related to your future goals and organization. You might start thinking more seriously about something you've had in mind for a long time. For example, an idea might come to you that makes you say, I can do this, I can handle this, I can do this very well. Quote, connecting with people, expressing yourself, being visible, speaking, writing, sharing can open beautiful doors for you this week. This week, your energy might turn inward a little. That's what I mean. So, you've talked, had fun, traveled, and spent time with people. How are you doing? Suddenly, you might want to stop and look within yourself. You might notice things you've been covering up, things you've been suppressing. For example, hidden fatigue. It's like your body has been moving so fast that your soul has lagged behind. Maybe you've talked to everyone, but while you're answering everyone and trying to accomplish everything, a voice inside seems to be saying, I want to stop for a while. This week, you need to see that side of yourself a little more. Sleep, dreams, that inner state of thinking, that desire to try and solve things on your own might increase. Meanwhile, financial matters are one of the most important topics this week. Income and expenses, receivables and payables, prices, earnings, whether you're getting the reward for your labor, the value of your work, a payment or expense might come up. Especially if there's a financial matter that was discussed before but left unfinished, it might be reopened. It could be an old payment, a forgotten debt, overdue money, or news you've been waiting for. These things might resurface. But I'm not just talking about physical money here. I'm talking about something related to your self-worth. You're putting something of yourself into it. You're truly giving of yourself. Your effort, your time, your love, your feelings, your money, whatever you have, and you're getting something in return. You can start to clearly see the value you place on yourself. The people around you value you, yes. But how much of that value are you determining? You'll see that. You'll first realize your own worth. Maybe you've said things like, okay, we'll do it, okay, I'll come, okay, I'll pay for this, okay, I'll do that for you, and so on. I'm not talking about helping others. Look, there's a fine line here. We all make sacrifices for our loved ones, but if there's a point where you're constantly making sacrifices, you need to recognize it. Is this leading you to devalue yourself? Because not everyone around you is like you. Just because you made sacrifices for them, they might not think, look how much they're sacrificing for me, I should do something for them too. Quote, they might think, oh, they did this, they're doing that too. They might think, he did this, so he can do that too. What's the big deal? Quote, then they might devalue what you've done. So you need to be careful in these situations. Meanwhile, regarding money, you're thinking about money on one hand, future matters on the other, past issues on another, your body on yet another, and questioning what you really want. All of these can manifest simultaneously. First of all, you need to be careful about impulsive reactions in relationships. Because a single sentence can trigger you more than you realize. You might react very quickly. Then you might think, why did I do that? Now, your language might be strong, effective, and fast, but that same language could have opened a door. It could have unnecessarily created tension. Especially with your close circle, siblings, relatives, neighbors, people you see frequently, there's a huge impact of communication. It's important to be careful when talking to them. It might not actually be an immediate reaction. It could be something you've accumulated inside, or even if you haven't, it might be connected to an event from the past, and you've acted accordingly. For example, in the past, you might have given an overly selfless response to a message. You've probably already coded it internally. Okay, I won't be so self-sacrificing anymore. A topic comes up. Suddenly, you think, in the past, I wouldn't have done that, but people are different afterwards. You might find yourself thinking, why did I do that for no reason? Why did I react like that? Quote, I don't know. Did I explain what I'm thinking? But I'm trying to say that your reaction might actually be connected to your past. Your Visibility at work is increasing. You might want to put yourself out there more. For example, if you're looking for a job, it's a good week for going to interviews, applying, and accelerating a project. And you might have many ideas in your head. You might have the urge to do this, write about it, talk about it, change it. But doing it all at once is very difficult. So this week, the main thing is not losing momentum, but managing it, because you have strong potential. You just need to redirect that energy. If you can manage this very well, it will be very, very good for you. Your career, your family, and, here, your home, your sanctuary. The balance in these areas will be important. So, on the one hand, your work is very important. You want to accelerate your progress. You want to assert yourself. But the peace and tranquility within your home are just as important. Should I focus on my own path, or should I focus on my home life? A feeling of inner turmoil might arise, like, how can I proceed in this way? This could affect your work plans. For example, your responsibilities at home, the things you need to do, your responsibilities related to your home life. So, what should I do in these areas? Where do I belong? Should I stay at work? Should I return home? Should I take a different path? Should I set boundaries for my home and family? How can I balance all of this? How should I proceed here? This questioning might occupy your mind a little. Bringing these areas into balance is very, very important for you. Now, on the health side, because your body will be working very fast, you might experience issues like nervous system problems, insomnia, tension, spasms, and contractions. It seems life is asking you to slow down a bit here. I'm not saying your body should be lazy, but rather that you should avoid wasting energy, avoiding unnecessary expenditure. So, dear Gemini, you're essentially putting yourself back on the stage. But this stage isn't about attracting attention or being seen from the outside, it's more about not postponing yourself. You may have held yourself back too much, worrying about what others will say, how they'll interpret things, who will be offended, who will be hurt, or what others will think. Now, that curtain is opening a little for you. It's a time when you can express your own thoughts, not just quickly, but with awareness. You can get support from those around you. A conversation might bring you courage. Financial matters might become clearer. If there's anything genuine in your relationships or friendships, it might come to light. A message or a phone call could bring new beginnings. This week, you might feel this very clearly. You're no longer afraid to express yourself, and you know you don't have to exhaust yourself while doing so. Your voice is valuable, your ideas are valuable, you are valuable. You don't have to keep up with everyone. You want to savor life. Thank you for listening. And if you like the video, subscribe and comment, you'll make me very happy. See you in the next video. Goodbye dear Cancers, and welcome to those with Cancer rising. We're together for the week of July 6th. This week is for you. The sky is saying you shouldn't hide yourself anymore. You should start showing yourself, and do so in a controlled way. Who you are, what you want, what you feel, what you say, how you react, all of these things become much more important in terms of the direction you want to take in your life. Now we're starting the week. Your career, your responsibilities, your work life, your public image, your connections with family elders. You're not working. You know, issues with people you respect, a boss, a manager, a family elder. I mean, an issue might arise concerning people who have authority over you. It's as if someone is expecting a clearer, more serious, faster answer from you. It's like you need to give them an answer now. What do you want to do? You might question what is expected of you. There are things you want to do, and then there are the expectations life has of you. You might have an important conversation at work. For example, it could be a task, a responsibility, a decision, a meeting, or a situation where something might change. It could be a situation where you need to prove yourself. But it's not just about career. Life is actually showing you this. While you're living according to, keeping up with, and rushing around trying to meet the expectations of others, how much are you pushing your own feelings aside? You need to see this. You might need to appear strong now, but some old weariness is also showing itself. One part of you says, I'll sort things out, I'll handle everything, but another part says, why am I thinking about everyone's feelings? I'm trying to keep up with everyone's needs. Quote. This feeling isn't unfounded, because this week, dear Cancerians, you're rediscovering yourself. You might want to act differently on a matter you used to ignore. So, when people ask you for something, you might say, "Of course I have feelings for them too." But you might also have things you need to do, things you need to address. You could have a conversation, but it might be incomplete. It will continue later. For example, you're considering a change of direction. You have desires, but they're not fully realized. There's a kind of ambiguity. Things are being discussed, but the time for a solution, or for clarification, isn't quite right. It needs some time. Knowing that some things need time will benefit you. You might have an important conversation with a friend, for example. You might find out if a friend is upset with you. Or, if you have something pent up inside you towards someone, you might feel it clearly. Who is truly standing by you? Who is just showing up for good times? You'll see these things clearly this week. For some of you, this week an old wound might resurface in a friendship. For example, your friend didn't do something you wanted them to do. They didn't show you the support you wanted. You know, like, when they need something, they call you, and at some point, you might think, I've experienced this before, or, I've seen a similar situation. I know what this is. Quote. There's also great support from your social circle, from other friends. It could be an invitation, a get-together, a group project. It could be an opportunity that comes through a friend. You might attend an event, and someone you meet there could open up completely different doors for you. You might also experience a hopeful development regarding something you've wanted for a long time. That feeling of, "it's still possible," will rise within you. That can be a wonderful feeling. It means it's still possible. It means these things are possible. On the income side, sources of income, things you've earned yourself, things that belong to you, these things will make you feel good. So, these things can come to the forefront. It could be a financial opportunity, support, a payment, a receivable, or news of earnings. Especially in the area of money earned through your own efforts, there's a sense of relief, a surge in activity. So, I can say with a very high probability that there could be a hopeful development. In terms of finances, of course you have financial matters, but on the other hand, regarding your self-worth in a job, a relationship, or family, how much are you truly putting yourself forward, feeling you deserve it? Or are there areas where you hold back? Are you trying to get what you deserve, or are you settling for what you're given? There's also an influence that will make you question this a little. You might want to make changes related to your appearance, your clothes, your grooming, your personal demeanor. What kind of impression are you leaving on people? What kind of image do you want to project? There might be an influence related to this, but of course, you need to consider the retrograde in your sign. So, if you're going to make a new change, for example, an operational change, I recommend waiting until the end of July. By the way, there's also a period where you need to be careful about misunderstandings. Old issues may resurface, old messages, old resentments, an old relationship dynamic, or a matter you thought was closed may come back into your life. You might experience an awareness that takes you back years, like, I actually got over this a long time ago. The most important awareness here isn't about taking you back to the past, but about realizing that your body still carries the emotions of the past. It's about recognizing that there's something in your subconscious that's still bringing past events into the present, and you're still carrying it. This relates to your reactions to events, your approaches to people, how you try to solve problems, how you manage relationships, how you earn money, your friendships, everything. Therefore, being mindful in these areas is crucial. Seeing that you're still carrying past events into the present, perhaps with the same fear, anxiety, or insecurity, and that you're still dealing with the feelings left behind by those past experiences, might make you feel like something needs to change. This week, a matter unfolding behind your back, a conversation you're unaware of, or a secret matter concerning you might come to light. You might clearly realize someone's true intentions. You might notice that what's said in a situation isn't the same as what's done. All of this is to free you from unnecessary burdens. So, some truths might upset you, but they will also liberate you. You won't be dealing with unnecessary crowds, unnecessary people, or unnecessary chatter. You need to center yourself. While chasing after everyone else, you may have drifted away from your own center. A conversation might take place at home. You might want a change of routine this week. A responsibility related to an elder family member may come up, but you're no longer looking at it with the attitude of, I'll handle it. You want to first consider your own capabilities. How much can I handle? How much do I want to handle? How much of what do I want to do? How much time can I dedicate to myself when I do these things? After these thoughts, you might have an effect like, okay, I can do this, or I don't want to do that. For example, if there's a situation related to international connections, international social media, legal matters, or education, a trip you took, a book you read, a course, it might give you an awareness that you need to approach these things differently. For example, you watch a movie, do something, read a book. You might think, I actually need to change things. I need to take a different approach somehow. I see that I can't achieve what I want by living this way. You can make decisions about making a change here. Something might rise within you. So, this week is actually a week where you develop a new stance in your work, family, relationships, friendships, finances, and even your relationship with your own body, where you are no longer shaped by or obligated to be shaped by the expectations of others. This stance is a clear one. I'm talking about a stance that is quiet but strong, emotional but not as scattered as before. Some of you may experience clarity regarding a responsibility related to your career. Some of you may feel more comfortable financially. For some, friendships may be put to the test. Unresolved issues may be reopened, but underlying all of this is the issue of procrastination. Actually, a week awaits you where you don't procrastinate and where you prioritize your desires. Thank you for listening. I wish you all a wonderful week. If you like the video, subscribe, and comment, you will make me very happy. See you in the next video. Welcome, dear Leos and rising Leos. We are together for the week of July 6th. You're starting a week where you'll truly attract attention, shine, and have more eyes on you. It's a powerful week for beautifying yourself, recovering, feeling better, and saying, I'm here again, to life. But another process is at work internally, because it's a week where you're confronting not only the light you project to the outside world but also the weariness you're hiding inside. One part of you wants to show yourself, to reflect your light, but the other part says, I think I'm a little tired. It wants to turn inward, the burdens you carry, the responsibilities you've taken on. Internally, you might feel a little pleasant and introspective. You're attractive, but some thoughts from the past keep swirling in your mind. Unresolved issues, old resentments, or unnamed, unsettling matters are occupying your mind a little too much. I said, a little, so many times. At the beginning of the week, if you have international matters, travel-related issues, education, academic matters, legal matters, there might be an agenda related to these. You might want to make a plan. You might want to start a course of study. You might want to complete a document. You might want to reconsider something that's been on your mind for a long time. For some of you, it could be news from afar. For others, it might be realizing that you're no longer looking at life from the same perspective, that you want to see more, to experience more, and that desire is growing within you. I'm not just talking about travel. You might want to shift your mindset. It's not like you're physically moving from one place to another, flying here and taking a bus there, but mentally wanting more than where you are. A goal might change, it might not seem as appealing as before, you might want more. So, you first mentally distance yourself from something. You look at things from a higher perspective, you see the big picture, and you redefine your goals. Towards the middle of the week, your public image and goals in the work and career sphere become more important. A work matter, a meeting, a responsibility, a boss, a manager, a family elder, or someone you respect might come up. This could be a positive development, but it could also touch on an old sensitivity. You might question whether you're where you deserve to be. Do they really see me? I'm putting in so much effort, but is this the reward I'm getting? These kinds of questions might surface within you. Some of you might want to be more visible in your professional life because you feel underappreciated. Some of you might reconsider your career decisions. There might be a deep-seated resentment towards family elders, bosses, or other respected figures. But this week, that resentment might make you think, where are you willing to show yourself less? Where are you willing to put your own efforts in less detail? Let them take the credit, or let them not be seen. I don't want to keep saying, I did this, I did that. Quote, but this week, it might make you realize you need to show certain things. You do a favor for someone, and then you don't really dwell on it. You don't usually boast about it, but the more you don't say it, the more it's treated as your duty, and expectations grow, but there's no thanks or appreciation. So you realize you need to draw a line. The idea of presenting yourself differently starts working inside you. Okay, so from now on, I'm behaving this way. I'm presenting myself differently. This week you are truly attractive and impressive. You will be much more noticeable. If you are single, there may be such remarkable encounters for single Leos. You might meet someone in a social setting, at a party, through an organization, group, or acquaintance on social media. You might connect with someone. A message or perspective from an unexpected source can change your thoughts about relationships, and with this energy, you can attract different people to yourself. If you are in a relationship, there may also be a confrontation. That is, can you transform together? Can you make plans together? Does being in the same environment together bring you joy? Can you improve yourselves? These kinds of effects can also be seen. There is also this situation. Because you are the one who attracts attention. While things attract attention together, whether the person in your life can handle it or not becomes important. There is also this effect from your perspective, questioning whether you are on the same path. Yes, how you appear in social settings is separate, but your goals, your dreams, as I said, there are things that are coming, you want more. If there's a real power struggle in relationships here, where one person constantly wants things their way, this week could turn into tension, and you might really question, are we truly on the same path? Yes, the other person is a good person, I am a good person. But maybe being a good person isn't enough to make a relationship work. Do we need different things to be on the same path? Meanwhile, there might be a development related to your environment. You might suddenly find yourself in contact with many people. A comment from a friend might take on a different meaning for you. Especially if you want to increase your visibility and promote yourself on social media, you might experience sudden, rapid, unexpected developments in terms of teamwork and connections this week. You'll also realize that some groups and people make you shine, but others really wear you down. No matter how much time you dedicate, being around people who always want more, who are only focused on giving and taking, tires you out. You might notice this. There's also a bit of caution regarding finances. Your own earnings, expenses, shared funds, debts, loans, payments, or your spouse's money, support from family, all these shared funds might bring up a payment issue. Suddenly, you want to invest in yourself. Maybe something like clothes, a new image, a vacation, or something else. Or you want to allocate money to your personal life, your relationship, or your child. But on the other hand, there are the payments. It can lead to questioning like, we're working so hard, earning so much, where's all this money going? It's good to be a little more careful with your own cards and family finances. Because one part of you is very open to spending freely, while the other part is deeply struggling with payments. It can make you question whether you feel secure. Because some of the payments might be yours, some might be related to your family, some might be about the house. So, not having money to spend on yourself after working so hard can make you question yourself internally. That's what I'm trying to say. So, here, there. Might be an influence indicating that you're in a preparation phase for something you don't want to tell anyone yet, but are keeping to yourself. It's like a quiet beginning, gathering your thoughts in your head. I'm going to prioritize these things. I'm going to advance these things. Then I'll reveal myself. Let's see how it goes. Quote. There's a tendency to quietly work things out behind your back, not to say you're plotting anything behind anyone's back. It's about keeping certain things to yourself, and don't tell anyone, because nobody needs to be watching. You don't need anyone's advice either. If you want advice, there are certain people you can ask, but you know everyone has plenty of advice. Everyone tries to give advice. So, here, you might want to keep things to yourself for a while longer, and then focus more on yourself before telling anyone. This week, it seems like you might feel both radiant and exhausted at the same time. You appear strong, but you might also feel fragile. Someone admires you a lot, but deep down, you're still burdened by some old issues. This actually means seeing your heart from a more genuine place, dear Leos. I wish you a wonderful week. Thank you for listening. If you like the video, comment, and subscribe, you'll make me very happy. Thank you in advance to everyone who supports me. See you in the next video. Take care of yourselves. Goodbye, dear Virgos, rising Virgos, welcome. We're together for the week of July 6th. This week, people are going to work, coming and going, related to you. They have futures, goals, and plans. Even though it seems like they're working towards these things, there's actually a much deeper effect behind it. There's a deep confrontation. There's a deep analysis. You don't easily live on the surface. An event happens, everyone sees the moment. But you see the shortcomings behind that event, the unspoken things, the things left behind, much more deeply. And this week your analytical power will be working. Your analytical power will be working, but this week it's working for yourself, not for others. This week, issues like shared finances, earnings, alimony, loans, spouses or family's money, and support from others may come to the forefront. A payment, for example, might come up. It could be a payment you've previously postponed. A financial matter might be discussed again, but I'm talking about something that will occupy your mind. Some of you might think, why do I have to carry this burden alone? Because this week, money matters aren't just about numbers. It also triggers feelings of trust. You might question, is there really no one in this life I can trust? No one I can lean on? Who do I trust? Quote, this could be a partnership, a relationship, or a burden within the family. Are the shares fair? Is all the responsibility truly on you? Or has everyone taken equal responsibility? No one notices, but deep down, are you the one constantly cleaning things up? You might question all of these things. This feeling will be working more strongly within you this week. Especially if there are Virgos who have been wronged, your mind might dwell on this a lot. You might be searching for a solution related to a financial matter. For example, restructuring a debt, providing or receiving support, making a plan, strategizing over debts. These are some situations that might seem like crises. However, if you proceed without panicking, you can easily resolve them. In other words, there are influences showing that you have the power to easily organize scattered things, as long as you don't panic and lose control too quickly. This week, there may be much more significant developments related to relationships. It could be your spouse, lover, or partner. They may be trying to show you certain things. For example, you might realize you're making too many sacrifices in your relationship. Some of you might see that the other person is actually more sensitive, fragile, and indecisive than you thought. You might realize you've been putting too much pressure on them, but they actually have a sensitive heart. The I mindset will be very poor in relationships. You might question your needs, the other person's needs, whether the other person understands you, and whether you're putting yourself second. You might experience some self-awareness and gain insight into these aspects. Love isn't about constantly managing things. Understanding is good, but trying to understand without considering yourself can become exhausting in any relationship after a while. This week, you're realizing exactly that, especially in relation to your environment. Old issues might resurface. For example, old friends, old plans, old goals, projects that were discussed but not completed, projects that were started but abandoned. You might hear from a friend. You might reconnect with people from your past. Your future plans might be discussed again, but this week, things might not always go smoothly in your environment. You need to be careful about misunderstandings in your communication with some people. Someone's words might be a little too emotional for you, like, "I've experienced this before." I mean, it might touch your vulnerabilities. This week, your friendships are actually like a mirror for you. Who is truly there for you? Who appreciates your efforts? Who is supporting you? There is good support, by the way, but while a friend's words might lift your spirits, you might also realize that some friends aren't being open enough about you. In these situations, you might need to distance yourself a little, withdraw. When it comes to careers, I'd say this is one of the busiest areas this week. There's an acceleration in your professional life. There might be an interview, a change, an offer, a task, a responsibility, or an unexpected development. For some, it could mean increased visibility at work. For others, having to defend yourself in the middle of a conversation, or for others, a long-awaited development. Your job, status, goals, brand, profession, and public image are incredibly important this week. There's a very fast-paced energy here because things can change suddenly. A plan might need revision. Your boss's or manager's attitude might change. There might be a client or a meeting. There could be differentiations related to those. There are influences indicating the possibility of rapid change. You normally like to plan everything in advance, but this week it might not be easy to control everything 100%. Life is telling you to make plans, but don't be trapped by them. Staying flexible is crucial. In your professional life, you need to be cautious about things like anger, rushing into things, your own ideas being pushed into the background, or some people imposing their ideas on you. This week, you need to demonstrate your strength in this way. Instead of escalating crises, it will be important to establish systems and move forward by considering your own interests more. Because everyone is looking out for their own interests and maybe imposing things on you. It's crucial that you protect your own interests here. And now, emotionally, some news might affect you. Some of you may realize you want to learn more, develop yourselves further, and open new doors. Or you may feel that things aren't as solid as they used to be. Faith is also important for you this week. I'm not just talking about religious or spiritual faith. I'm talking about how much you believe in life, people, relationships, work, and yourself. Because sometimes you look for so many flaws that you might even start seeing your own strength as lacking. This week, life shows you that everything doesn't have to be perfect. He says you're ready enough to move forward. Look, from what I've seen with my clients, from what I've seen with my friends, from my own life, if you expect things to be perfect, you'll always fall behind in life. Nothing is ever perfect. Good enough actually means you can now move forward. Like driving a car. You can't learn to drive perfectly from where you're sitting. You can practice driving on closed roads wherever you want, without actually going into traffic. You still won't learn enough to drive in traffic. Of course, you've got your driver's license. You've spent some time on those closed roads, parking, starting, not stopping, and so on and so forth. You've done a lot of these things. Then you need to go out on the road, in that traffic, with the reactions and interactions of the people coming from the opposite direction. All of these are very important. With all of this, we actually become more professional. So, if there are things you're holding back from doing until they're perfect, be it relationships, work, career, family, whatever it is, you want to start your own business, but you also want this and that. Don't put yourself off. Trying to make things perfect, wasting time on it, really isn't worth it. Just go with the flow. Maybe it will work, maybe it won't. Maybe this isn't what you want. You'll see. Trying is key. You feel like you only experience many things in life once. Trying things, being active in your life, trying to perfect things, always. Well, I won't say always, but it really holds you back. So you need to accept things as they are. I'm not saying you should jump into that path when you know nothing. I'm saying it's important for you to realize that you're ready to embark on that path, even if it's not perfect, after you've brought things to a certain level. That's what I'm actually trying to say. On the health side, you need to pay attention to your diet. Mental calmness will be very valuable this week. This week isn't just about paying attention, it's also a week of strengthening. Because you see some realities more clearly in your work, social circle, financial matters, and relationships. Who are you walking with? What kind of work are you doing with whom? You can grow. You realize which burdens are becoming too much for you, which fears are unnecessarily holding you back. This awareness might feel heavy at first, but in the end, it will truly benefit you greatly. You can't stay safe by controlling everything. Sometimes, security comes not from knowing everything, but from trusting yourself. Thank you for listening. If you like the video, subscribe, and comment, you will make me very happy. Thank you for your support. See you in the next video. Goodbye. Libras, rising Libras, welcome. We're together for the week of July 6th. This week is a week that will simultaneously activate your relationships, career, future, and life's potential. Think of it as not asking the question, what do I want? Alone. The people around you, your spouse, lover, partner, boss, friends, family are all somehow involved in this question. It's as if life is telling you that simply conforming is no longer enough. Determining your own direction is equally important. You're starting the week very strongly in the realm of relationships. There might be an agenda related to your spouse, lover, or partner. There might be a development. You might have a conversation, for example. This week, the attitude of the person opposite you might affect you more than usual, or their expectations, approach, how much space they give you, or how much pressure they exert will be much clearer. I'm not talking about a sharp, definitive, to be or not to be, point in relationships. You don't have to get to that point, but I'm trying to say that ignoring certain things won't be easy anymore. One part of you wants peace, balance, and tranquility, but the other part is asking why they're always the one who understands. This is the biggest inner voice for you this week. Because you're often prone to postponing your own feelings to avoid conflict. But this week, those postponed feelings will finally make themselves known. They'll say, enough is enough. You can't keep postponing things and looking back. Responsibilities can be discussed in relationships. The other person might expect a more serious step from you, or you might expect it from them. You might expect a clearer, more reassuring, more willing partner. In marriage, relationships, or family matters, if there's resentment or a long unspoken issue, you might want to discuss it. If you're single, you might meet someone strong, noticeable, but also someone who feels a bit distant or reserved. There's something very clear here, dear Libras. The people you meet this week aren't just about relationships, they're also holding a mirror up to you. What kind of relationship do you want? How do you position yourself in a relationship? Do you give too much of yourself to be loved? Do you adapt? Do you put your own needs aside for the sake of the other person's happiness? Or, conversely, are you so tired that you react to even the smallest things thinking, I don't deserve this? This week you can see the balance or imbalance in this very clearly. Another strong aspect of the week is your career side. This includes your goals, plans, achievements, managers, bosses, and people you respect in your life. You don't have to work for them. There might be an agenda related to people you respect in your life. An old work-related issue might resurface. It could be a project that was discussed before but left unfinished. It could be a decision. These things could be revisited. There might be an offer. It could be a task. It could be a responsibility. All of these could be revisited, or there might be changes related to them. It's possible that things related to your career won't become clear very quickly. If you expect a quick response on some issues, it's normal to have repeated discussions, revisions, reassessments, perhaps a change of mind from your manager or boss, and reactions like, I already solved this, why is it coming up again? I expect all of this. Because life doesn't want to open new doors for you this week without fixing some things first. That's exactly it. First, identify any shortcomings. Then, I'm saying that door will open naturally. Now, you also need to strike a balance between your career and family. You have needs in your personal life, and responsibilities stemming from your career. A family issue could affect your work plans. For example, for some of you, the intensity at work might also strain your relationship or home life. The point here is this. Trying to please everyone without losing sight of yourself, finding balance. Giving too much to one side can steal from you. Meanwhile, there's strong support in friendships. Whether it's friends or groups, shining within a group, a great opportunity coming from a friend, meeting people through a friend and opening new doors. And if you don't have anyone in your life in terms of love, meeting someone who understands you, gives you space, and loves you for who you are, this can boost your morale. And on the other hand, you'll see who you can truly be yourself with, who you can comfortably talk about your struggles without holding anything back. You'll see where you feel comfortable. Regarding finances, shared money, debts, banking, loans, your spouse's money, your family's money, these situations will also be on your agenda. You might be discussing a debt or credit issue. For example, paying off a debt. What needs to be done to pay off a debt? You might need to think about this a bit more. You're actually trying to bring a financial matter to a much more solid point. But it's not just about finances here. Emotional trust will also be involved. How much do you trust someone? In a partnership, collaboration, or even a spouse, is the burden fairly distributed, or are you giving more? In a relationship, do you constantly feel indebted, both financially and emotionally? These questions might make you question things internally. This week, you might want to look at financial matters more realistically and make solid plans. If there's a payment that's weighing you down, or an uncertain money issue, you might find a solution. When it comes to love, there's a deep, strong, but also somewhat transformative atmosphere. Especially if you don't have anyone in your life, dear Libras, as I said before, it could be through friends, organizations, or social media. You'll be in a noticeable situation within these crowds, and you might meet someone. You'll question what kind of relationship you truly want after this meeting. So, normally, this meeting might excite you a lot, but you might realize you're not as excited as before, and you start questioning yourself, what kind of relationship do I want? What will make me happy? What will make me happy, and how? There might also be important issues related to children. If you have children, you might want to make a decision about them. If you want to have children, you might have some conversations and make plans together. You might even make a decision. There will be responsibilities related to your child, their education, their environment, their marriage. These aspects of your child's life might come to the forefront. You might think about these things a little more, both emotionally and mentally. On the other hand, the enjoyable side of life, love, hobbies, creation, self-expression is also strengthening. You're also starting to think more seriously about your future. There's activity in areas like distance, education, academics, your life path, your beliefs, and personal development. You might plan a trip. For example, a journey to a place you've wanted to see for a long time but haven't had the chance might finally begin. You might be applying for jobs abroad. You might have an international business matter. There might be a development related to a legal issue. It's a time when you want to improve yourself, expand into another field, and want much more than you're currently in. But it's important not to rush into things, because there are so many ideas, so many options, so much talk. On one hand, you want to go. On the other hand, you're unsure. On one hand, you want to learn new things. On the other hand, old issues are bothering you. Meanwhile, your mind is very active. Yes. But your heart also wants to trust. So, when making big decisions, it's very important to proceed not just with excitement and momentary passion, but also with inner peace and consideration. Thank you for listening. If you like the video, subscribe, and leave a comment, you'll make me very happy. Thank you also for your support. Happy week. See you in the next video. Welcome, Scorpios and those with Scorpio rising. We're together for the week of July 6th. This week actually has a very clear message for you. It's time to take your body, your heart, and the burdens you carry in your relationships seriously. This week is definitely not a superficial one for you. Suddenly you have a work schedule, a daily routine, responsibilities. While keeping you busy, there are also things that consume your time. So, within your daily routine, you're constantly busy, and there's a part of you that keeps your mind occupied. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, and there's work, by the way. I said work, sorry, there are relationships too. So, all of these are working together. This week starts a bit intense, a bit full of responsibilities. First of all, daily tasks that need to be done, like, how much burden have I been carrying? When did I take on so much? Quote, you might feel like, why does everyone expect something from me? Why do I have to keep up with everyone? Quote, you might feel like, I exist too. I have a life too. I have desires too. I need to do things for myself too. Quote, but you might also realize how much you're giving of yourself to keep things running smoothly. This could be related to your workplace. I'm not just talking about daily life. Let's say you're not working. In your daily life, you might have really blurred or obscured your own boundaries. Or you might be working. You might find yourself doing other people's work. You wouldn't normally let anyone take advantage of you, but what started as a good intention might have turned into something completely different. You're actually realizing this. All of this could be causing you fatigue, stress, headaches, muscle tension, stomach and bowel problems, and sleep disturbances. For example, if you have a checkup you've been putting off for a long time, I definitely recommend going this week. You need to hear yourself better. Constantly chasing after things, trying to catch up, can eventually lead you to the brink of collapse. Your body might reach that point. Later in the week, relationships come into play. You might have important issues related to your spouse, partner, or lover. You might have a conversation, or a relationship-related issue. It could be a questioning of whether you're truly safe. If some of you have such questions in your minds, I can say that this will be a week where these things become clearer. Actually, let me tell you something, Scorpios. You're realizing how fragile, how wounded, and how distant you are from yourselves. The most sensitive issue in relationships is trust. Trust isn't an ordinary matter for you. Opening your heart to someone is very valuable to you. Opening your heart to them wouldn't be possible without trust. You expect honesty from the other person. And at this point, you may experience some confrontations. A word spoken, a small change, a decrease in attention, or an overly controlling attitude might be enough to make you think a little. The important thing to remember here is that not everything is a threat. Not everything is a lie. Not everything is a cover-up. The other person might have fears about themselves. You have wounds. And because of your wounds, the area they're touching might be a little sensitive, but they also have sensitivity within them. So, just because you feel something in the relationship, you shouldn't immediately go into a fight position. First, really, how important is this current issue to you? Is the other person really withdrawing and treating you unfairly? Is there no justice? Or are you struggling with something within yourself? It's much more important for you to question whether this stems from a childhood fear, perhaps related to something from your past. Because you might be internalizing certain issues too much. Because there are points where you are very sensitive. There are points where you are truly hurt and offended, but not all of them may be related to the current state of the relationship. I said, really, so I'll summarize, but you need to clearly see this here. I'm saying this for Scorpios who are making decisions in relationships. This is not a week for making decisions. Emotions are very heightened. That's why I want to explain this in detail, so that even if I shed light on something in just one person, it's very important to me. If you want to make decisions about relationships, you might not want to because of the current situation. Past attitudes, events, emotional issues, and sensitivities might be preventing you from making decisions here. The other person's attitude might be related to their own life. They also have childhood traumas. They also have shortcomings. They also have anxieties and sensitive issues. Perhaps there are things they can't tell you about you, but you feel like they're hiding something from you. That's what I'm trying to say. So, it's not the right time to make a decision about the relationship. You need to give yourself some time, especially since Mercury retrograde is still ongoing. Any decisions you make about relationships while Mercury retrograde is still in effect will only lead to regret. I'll tell you that clearly. If you don't want to experience that regret, you need to take a break. You need to give yourself some time. You need to observe things. You need to try to see what's behind it all. If you're going to make a decision, go ahead. I'm not saying nobody should break up. I'm not saying you should understand the other person, or try to understand everything. But if you're in a relationship that's draining you, that devalues you, that makes you feel insecure, that makes you feel like they might leave tomorrow, living constantly on edge is very difficult. We've all been through this, we know all of this, so don't consider yourself worthy of being in that situation. You are valuable. You should be with someone who deserves you. Someone who doesn't deserve you has no place in your life. But if you're going to make a decision, I think it would be better to give yourself some time. At least wait until the end of the month. If you're still thinking the same way, still feeling the same way, then you can make your decision. Then, you can put your wishes and decisions into action. By the way, I should also mention this. Regarding shared finances, these are also a strong topic. This week, the topic of money isn't just about money. For you, the money issue here is about: do you trust the person you're dealing with? How much can you trust them? Can you lean on them? Can you really entrust yourself to them? I'm not talking about the present, but about the future. Right now, yes, things are happening, you're doing things. Maybe taking on a shared debt, maybe making sacrifices for them. You want to trust them. You had a child. If you quit your job, do you trust them? Or you're going to buy a house. If you take on a shared debt, do you trust them in the future? These kinds of things might bother you a little more. Of course, besides that, there might be a payment due. You might have a payment on your agenda. Arranging shared finances, restructuring a debt together. In return, there might be some unexpected situations related to money. So, there might be agendas related to these things, but the main point is really about trusting someone, feeling safe, having someone you can lean on. And for some of you, you might realize whether you are financially dependent or not. How dependent are you on whom? How much financial or emotional pressure can someone exert on you? Do you have to back down in some things? Are you being too controlling while trying to keep everything in your hands? Are you compromising on your own desires in these situations? These kinds of issues might arise. You might experience self-awareness here. It's a very profound week for you. There are some challenges, but these challenges will bring about important self-awareness. There might be success. There's significant visibility in your career. You might receive an offer, a conversation. You might receive praise from your boss or manager. How do people see you? How are your achievements appreciated? You might want to question this a little. There could be a great opportunity in your career, a more visible position. For example, support might come, a door might open, an offer might come. You might also have an impact on your career, like, I think I want to do this. So, are you shining? Do people see what you're doing? Is your hard work being rewarded? These are some of the questions you might ask. But of course, I have to say this. Some jobs look incredibly glamorous from the outside, like they're very good. People like you, appreciate you, etc. But does it really continue that way internally? Some don't pay. Some demand more than you deserve for your work. They don't give you the reward. They don't appreciate you. Like, you'll come in the morning like this. They don't let you breathe. I know people who have had stomach hemorrhages from stress. So, even if it looks good from the outside, does it make you happy inside? This will be very important. This week, you also need to pay attention to conversations within your family. For example, some silences, unspoken topics, these can weigh heavily on you. You know, you can sense when something isn't going right faster than anyone else. But I'm going to explain this. Now, there's going to be an argument. A lot of things will happen. You might feel you need to stay silent in certain situations involving your family, your partner's family, or your spouse's family. This silence might make you feel a little burdened. I have to say that too. If you don't have anyone in your life, dear Scorpios, you might meet someone through your work environment, career connections, or through business connections or shared financial matters. This meeting might be a bit more intense, more intriguing, more mysterious, like, who is this person? I mean, it's not like everyone will be fated to be in your life, but it might create a different kind of excitement for you. This is a deep week, as I said. I hope you get through it in the best way possible. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you in the next video. If you like the video, subscribe, and leave a comment, you'll make me very happy. See you soon. Goodbye. Welcome, Sagittarians and those with Sagittarius rising. We're together for the week of July 6th. This week, card themes, relationships, trust, money, and your daily life are all at work for you simultaneously. From the outside, you seem active. People, relationships, it's quite a busy week, but inside, a deeper issue is at work. This week, you're asking yourself, what are you truly devoted to? Who are you sharing a path with? What burdens do you no longer want to carry alone? It wants you to question these things and find answers. The enjoyable aspects of life, love, creativity, flirting, these are the things you might focus on. Something inside you might bring a desire to live life more vibrantly. You might want to enjoy life more. You might flirt with someone. You might spend more time with your children. You might want to express yourself. You might want to show yourself off. This could be a time in your life when you want to enjoy yourself. You might feel like you have responsibilities, but you also want to enjoy yourself. And these things will bring about certain things. Am I truly happy? Yes. Am I loved, but do I feel free enough? I'm pursuing certain things, but do I really want to continue them? For some of you, the love side will work a bit like this. It's not just about heart palpitations, but what do you need? That will be somewhat prominent. If you don't have anyone in your life, I'd say it's a somewhat noteworthy week. You might have some wonderful encounters. A relationship or acquaintance that starts casually could turn into something serious. This acquaintance could be through texting, through your social circle, or through social media. Someone might be drawn into your life who makes you feel like, this person looks familiar. Of course, you shouldn't immediately think, okay, this person is really going to be the one in my life now. Things might get a little complicated, but there's an effect that can start lightly and then become serious. I have to mention that too. If you have children, their needs, expectations, or attitudes might affect you emotionally. If you want to have children, this topic might occupy a larger place in your heart this week. But it's not just about children. It's also about reawakening your zest for life. So, you want to enjoy life, you want to connect with life, you want to hold on to life with hope. Think of it as searching for a way to do that. And in the meantime, if there's something you've been putting off, a health issue, or a situation that needs sorting out, planning for those things might come up. You might feel a little stuck, thinking, I need to get these things done, I need to take care of these things. It's a week that requires a bit of discipline. It might be a week that puts a little strain on your body. You might also need to get those postponed tasks done. You might feel tired, weak, or have problems with your throat, neck, or digestive system, or feel a little tense from overthinking. When your spirit is constricted, you try to distract yourself by moving around, going outside, and focusing on things. But this week the sky will say, there's no escaping it. You need to listen. You need to focus on your body. You need to pay attention to small fatigues. You can't get rid of them by ignoring or brushing them aside. Your daily life might get a little busier. It could be work, tasks that need to be completed, or your daily routines. But I'm not actually talking about something bad in this rush. This week, for some of you, organizing your work routine, making a decision about your health, or making a small but effective change in your lifestyle could be very beneficial. You have big goals, but is your daily routine laying the groundwork for those big goals? You'll see. As you establish a system and discipline in these areas, you'll find it easier to progress on the path you want to take. That's what I'm trying to say. Because you need time, money, and energy for what you want to do, but you might realize that you don't have time for them because of the rush of daily life. Now, the sky is telling you that if you organize your daily life, you can make time for these things, but before that, you need to systematize them. You shouldn't postpone things. Quote, Now you need to do the right things at the right time and also take care of your health. Your body is the most important thing. You need energy. Meanwhile, you might be questioning your relationship. Where is this relationship going? What are we doing? What kind of future are we aiming for? If there are topics that haven't been discussed for a while, they might surface. They might not come out quietly though. It might be like, okay, let's talk about this. Where are we going? How are things working? The important thing to remember is that this week it's very easy to be right in relationships, but it's a little harder to be understood. So everyone wants to talk about their own problems. The other person wants to talk about theirs, and you want to talk about yours. You might say you don't want to be cornered, for example. They might say something like, I don't want uncertainty. Finding balance is very important here. Focusing on finding balance rather than focusing on being right will be much more important for you. If you have a partnership, there's a dynamic side to it. You might be in a place with more work. More clients might come in. You might be in contact with more people than you expected. You need to stay away from hastily made decisions and promises, because these can come up again and again as topics to be discussed. You need to avoid the, but you said this too. You said you would do these things. You said you could handle this kind of thinking. There's a deep financial calculation involved, especially regarding shared finances, loans, debts, inheritance, alimony, compensation, and banking matters. You need to be careful in these areas. Support from family may come up. It could be a previously discussed payment, an old debt, or a delayed financial issue. You might want to close, restructure, discuss, and finally resolve things and put the matter out of your mind. This week, the topic of money affects trust, friends. This effect is present for all of us, by the way. Regarding trust and money, we'll be questioning why we do things alone, or if we feel alone while doing things. Or are we with someone who will take responsibility and be our companion on this journey? Money actually triggers issues of commitment, responsibility, and trust. Are you attached to someone because of money? Are you standing here because of money? Are you taking on all the responsibility yourself? Do you feel valued here, and are you surrounded by trustworthy people? All of these things, which seem like a matter of money, will actually be triggered and opened up. That's what I'm trying to say. This will be the main agenda. You might also make a decision related to your home. It could be a change in your home life. For some of you, it could be a family matter. This family matter could affect relationships. You need to pay attention to this. On the career side, you might take on a responsibility related to your work. You might realize how important it is to establish order. You might question whether this is really the path you want to take. More responsibilities might come your way. You might realize how much your current routine is shaping you. Some of you might leave an old career goal and start looking for a more flexible, freer path that suits you better. Or, while continuing your old routine, you might start looking for alternative paths. There's a strong influence here, by the way. It could be related to international business, visas, international matters, your place of residence, or a situation involving an acquaintance far away. It's possible. There might be some developments here. Something related to an application you made, like a visa application or a passport application. There might be some progress, but it might not give you exactly the result you want. This week, some of the things you want might be delayed a bit. But when you feel you need clarification, it's important to give yourself some time and be flexible. So, this week is about you. Becoming aware of the things that are tiring you out, the routines, relationships, people, friendships, work, daily life. It wants you to become aware of these things. There's an influence showing you that you should focus on achieving freedom not by running away, but by establishing a system. That's what I want to say. This is the most important message for you this week. Dear Yearler, thank you for listening. I hope you have a wonderful week. If you like the video, subscribe, and comment. You'll make me very happy. See you in the next video. Goodbye Capricorns and rising Capricorns, welcome. We're together for the week of July 6th. This week, your home, family, relationships, money, and work life are all starting to speak to you at once. Like that. But this conversation isn't superficial either. You know how there's a time when a person seems very strong from the outside. Everyone thinks they're resilient, that they can handle it, but inside, a voice says, I'm tired. It's a week like that. Everyone might have a request for you. They might say, you'll handle it, you'll manage it, you'll get through it. But at some point, your body says, okay, you're doing all this, your mind and body, but you're tired. You need to see that too. Now, a family elder might need help. Moving, renovations, changing houses, organizing the house, a conversation with family, or an issue from the past might resurface. You might say, okay, I can handle this, but this time, it might not just be about handling it. This time, life might make you question why you always carry this burden alone. Okay, you can handle these things. That's fine, we're okay with that, but why do you always do it alone? Why don't the people who help you? No, why are things always expected of you? This will likely prompt you to question things like that. A family structure you've been used to for years may have expected you to remain mature, and realizing this might actually upset you. Because you want to be understood now. You want to move away from constantly trying to define yourself by doing things. A serious decision about home might come up: buying, selling, renting, moving. Discussing something that needs to be discussed under the same roof with the family, changing the home life, or an internal feeling that you want to build a different foundation, a new foundation for yourself, might arise. Home actually represents where you feel safe or not. That's why it's extra important for you. You want to feel safe. We all do, but for you, the issue of safety is a little more significant. Meanwhile, relationships are also on the agenda from an important perspective. Are you really emotionally exhausted? Or are you just the one taking responsibility, organizing, trying to put things right? You might want to understand the other person's attitude as well. That is, the relationship. You might want to see where and to what extent you are responsible. When you're truly emotionally exhausted, you might wonder, what do you want to do about this? These thoughts might circulate in your mind. When you're hurt, you don't immediately show it or fall apart. First, you compose yourself, think, and if necessary, create distance. But your heart doesn't work that mechanically, of course. Someone's indifference, insensitivity, something they did in the past, or responsibilities they've placed on you can become unbearable. If you're in a relationship, you might have an important conversation this week. It could be about marriage, the future, family, shared life, responsibilities, home life, money, or a conversation about something left unfinished in the past. This conversation might start emotionally, even a little tense. But if done in the right place, it can help the relationship build on a much stronger foundation. Let me be clear about this. Because this week, it's possible to fix things as well as break them off. Just don't hide how you feel. If both you and your partner, spouse, lover, don't hide their feelings and openly express them, the relationship will be much better for you. It might be good for solidifying things. Also, you might notice that you're always drawn to the same people you meet, maybe people you met a little while ago, maybe people you'll meet soon. I mean, there's an excitement, a passion, something related to love, but it's actually bringing an underlying awareness. Why are you always drawn to the same type of people? What's missing? And what deficiency are you trying to fill with these people? There's a kind of awareness, an enlightenment, about these things too. And regarding children, if you want to have children, dear Capricorns, this week you might feel a deeper desire in your heart. If you have children, you might focus more on matters related to them. You might talk more, take on more responsibility, be more communicative, and put extra effort into their lives. Now, you want to take time for yourself, but at the same time, even when you're resting, you might feel a kind of guilt, but there were things to do, but these things had to be done. You want to love, you want to have fun, but there are things that need to be done. For example, you've gone out, you're having fun, you're spending money, but there's also that money there. It's like, if I hadn't spent the money, I would have done this here. You constantly feel guilty. You're so deeply occupied with regret that you can't even live in the moment, thinking, but if I hadn't done this, if it had been like that. You need to avoid these thoughts. If you went out, you'll have fun. If you spent the money is gone. Besides, trying to both rest and think about work isn't really resting. It's like both your work is disrupted and you're not resting. Your mind is constantly working. You shouldn't do this to yourself. On the financial side, there's a very deep progression. Your own earnings, income, the reward for your labor, your self-confidence, your possessions, your sense of financial security may become much more important this week. Suddenly, there are shared funds. There are loans, debts, your spouse's money, or, for example, your business partner's money. There might be support for you here. Support that can make a payment easier. You might feel like you're getting closer to a solution regarding money, but at the same time, you're undergoing a deep transformation regarding your own earnings and self-worth. There's support on one side, but there's also a transformation within yourself. So, this week, with money, these related issues can truly prompt you to question what you value. It's not just about earning money. It becomes much more apparent under what conditions you earn it, whether you're getting fair compensation for your labor, and whether you devalue yourself in a job or relationship. For some, it might be about establishing a strong income structure. Actually, it's about taking steps with this awareness. You can now mentally tick off the idea that you deserve more. You might feel like, yes, I'm putting in a lot of effort, fighting hard, dedicating a lot of time, and I truly deserve much more. Now, the topic of money might be a little sensitive within the family, but approaching it more realistically, maturely, and with a solution-oriented mindset will increase your chances. You wouldn't normally be unrealistic about money matters, but there's accounting involved. There's also security involved. If you approach things with a solution-oriented mindset, focusing on how to resolve issues, things will go more smoothly for you, your chances will improve, and you'll be able to resolve the situation much more easily. And in shared finances, there's also good support involved. As I said, there's your spouse's money, your partner's money, but you also need to be careful about power struggles. I mean, things like, my money, your money, I did this, you did that, and so on. You need to stay away from those things. If you can balance these things, then there's no problem. Now, your mind has been working too much for a long time. Suddenly you have your family, your relationship, money, work. Your body might be telling you to slow down a bit. I recommend paying attention to issues related to your nervous system, shoulders, hands, arms, breathing, intestines, and stress. Rapid developments await you in your professional life. You might have an interview, receive an offer, or get some news. You might need to take a short trip. If you're involved in correspondence, meetings, especially communication, sales, training, social media, writing, consulting, or trade, it could be a very busy week for you. I wanted to mention that as well. So, this week is a week where you realize that being strong doesn't mean you have to carry everything. There's a general tendency towards this for you, but I know it's difficult for you to put into words those moments when you say, I need this too, to be able to say it to the other person, but being able to do it will bring you relief. I want to say that too. Thank you for listening. And if you like the video, subscribe and comment, you'll make me very happy. See you in the next video. Goodbye. Dear Aquarians, Rising Aquarians, welcome. We are in the week of July 6th. This week is a week where your mind, heart, home, relationships, and daily life are all moving at the same time. But this movement isn't just ordinary intensity. It's actually a process that demands you to express yourself, to not hide your heart, and to become aware of the patterns that are holding you back. Now, you can start the week with some conversations, communications, and messages. Here I'm talking about neighbors, siblings, cousins, people you see frequently. Since neighborly relations aren't as widespread as they used to be, this could also be with closer friends. You might have a meeting. It could be about a document. You might submit an application. It could be a trip, a short trip. Your plans might keep your mind occupied for a while, or perhaps your smile. But this week, conversations aren't just conversations, dear Aquarius. A single sentence, for example, can affect you far more than you realize. A word someone says to you. Like an old wound, a fragile feeling. It can create a sensitivity there. You might want to express things you've been holding inside more clearly, because this week your tongue is very strong, but also a little tired. You're actually thinking a lot. Even if you seem calm on the outside, there's a constant traffic of thoughts in your mind. You might have to pay more attention to your close circle. Your responsibilities might increase. You might have to help a relative or a sibling. And then there's a trip, for example, which might be delayed. You might need to double check if everything is really complete regarding a document. Some setbacks might upset you, but since you're mentally exhausted during this period, I can say that some setbacks are actually opportunities for you to rest. Because you're constantly thinking, and constantly thinking isn't enough. Everyone is saying something too. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone is commenting on something, and you don't have to answer everyone's questions. Communication is important for you this week, yes, but the quality of communication is even more important. Because some conversations can truly help you, while others only tire your mind. You need to stay away from such conversations and people. Home and family matters. There might be a confrontation, a kind of situation. There are expectations from your family. You're looking for peace at home, but are you feeling safe or not? While seeking peace at home, you might encounter an old wound from the past. For example, there might be an unspoken issue within the family, a resentment, maybe something from childhood, a feeling, a matter related to your home and your minds, a situation within the home that makes you emotionally sensitive might come to the fore. Maybe it's a very simple event, but you go back to a very old feeling. You return to that moment, it triggers that feeling. For example, someone might say to you, "You're always like this." Actually, you're not reacting to that moment, but to similar sentences you've heard for years. I'm talking about it. You're always like this. Under normal circumstances, you just say, "Okay, I'm like this," and move on. But constantly hearing the same things might make you think, "What are you saying? Where am I always like this? I'm constantly trying to improve things. I'm wasting myself in the hustle and bustle of life. I'm putting in effort, spending time, making sacrifices. How am I always like this?" Quote. I mean, while I'm constantly striving for things, how can my life be so easily dismissed with a simple sentence, in a tone like, "How can my life be so easily dismissed like this?" That's what I'm trying to say. A past relationship, an old person, maybe a colleague, someone from the past talking to someone from your past might do you a lot of good. You might get an invitation, an offer, a meeting. By the way, a conversation with someone here could open up different horizons for you. This week is very remarkable for you, by the way. You really stand out. You really shine, and you might meet someone who values you, who notices you. Especially from your work environment, your work connections, your circle. A meeting like that could happen. I'm not talking about a casual meeting. I'm talking about a meeting that can leave a lasting impression, making you feel different when you're with this person. If you're in a relationship, dear Aquarians, this week you can spend warmer, better, and more enjoyable time with your spouse or partner. This could involve making plans together, going out, spending time with your children, thinking about vacations, organizing events, or planning outings with friends and having fun. These things can make you feel good. Of course, there's a distinction here that I need to mention. While the relationship is going well, you might question whether you can truly be yourself within it. You want to be understood, not just loved. You want to be with someone who sees your unique side, who discovers your different side, not just someone who's in a crowd. It's not just about getting attention. You want to be with someone who understands your true self, who sees into your soul. If there are any shortcomings in these areas, you might notice them, but to avoid creating arguments or fights, I'm not saying you should write, draw, or talk about this topic. You can talk about your work, creating something, putting something out there, maybe expressing yourself on social media. These things will be very good for you. So, instead of going into an argument without fully understanding what's happening, I'm trying to say that channeling your energy here will be much better for you. If you want to have children, dear Aquarians, some conversations can take place this week. Maybe a doctor's appointment, maybe a meeting with your spouse, maybe some planning. So, you could have a conversation about wanting children. Yes. How should I proceed? Do I want them or not? How should our future plans proceed? You can make a plan. A plan might suddenly develop and you might set off on a journey, or you might suddenly realize you like someone. A topic might suddenly come up in a relationship. The course of events completely changes. So, you are open to such sudden developments. But I'll keep coming back to the same point here. This week, creating is really important for you. I mean, putting things into practice, things you've created yourself. Whether it's handicrafts, knitting, decorating, creating content for social media, writing, drawing, whatever you produce, putting things into practice, how you bring your ideas to life, focusing on these things will be very beneficial for you. You're going through a really deep transformation. Your appearance, your demeanor, your outlook on life has been undergoing a profound change for a long time. Even if you look back at last year, or even 35 months ago, you'll realize how much has changed in your life, even mentally. What you believed in before, your thoughts are completely different now, maybe even the people in your life have changed. It's a beautiful time when you're rebuilding your life. And you know what you're realizing this week? I'll tell you this most of all. You might be seeking someone's attention right now. You want someone to love you, whether it's your spouse or someone you meet. But the main point here is what you fundamentally want. This will be a week where you build a much healthier relationship with yourself, where you realize what makes you happy, what truly makes you feel at peace. Maybe you're saying it in words, but deep down you'll understand what it is. Thank you for listening. I wish you a wonderful week. If you like the video, subscribe and comment. You'll make me very happy. See you in the next video. Pisces and hello Pisces, welcome. Hello to all of you for a new week. I want to start by saying I hope you have a wonderful week. This week, there are many areas that touch upon financial matters, love, issues related to your children, your daily routine, and many more. Something very important is working inside you. You absolutely no longer want to define yourself according to a relationship, a job, a family structure, or someone's attitude. Now, the sky is asking you this. Where do you truly forget your own value? Where do you put yourself in the background? Where do you say, okay, you come first? These will be very important. I'm telling you that. The week begins with financial matters, expenses, earnings, and payments. You might revisit an expense you've been considering for a long time. For example, should I buy this? Should I wait? Where should I put my money? Am I getting the reward for my efforts? Should I make this expenditure? Is it worth it or not? You might question these things. But it's not just about money, dear Pisces. This week, for you, and for all of us, money is actually testing our sense of self-worth. In a job, a relationship, a family, how much are you giving and what are you receiving in return? Are the sacrifices you make, which are so natural for you, considered normal by the other person? You manage, you stay silent, you take care of things, but at some point you might question what's left for you. Perhaps people have normalized this. You strive for things, to maintain peace, to ensure happiness, to make everything go smoothly. But these things are seen as something that should already be done. Perhaps it's time to realize this. But still, the real awareness is this. Just because you like to help doesn't mean you have to carry everyone's burden. It's nice to be helpful to someone, but not by diminishing yourself, withdrawing from yourself, or putting your own desires on the back burner. Things will change a bit later this week. Your siblings and close circle will be more prominent. News and communication will take center stage. You might receive a phone call or a message. An important issue concerning a sibling or someone close to you might come up. For example, a matter you thought was closed might resurface. You might need to correct a misunderstanding. Or, conversely, a single sentence might bring an old hurt back to mind. Words have a huge impact this week, dear Pisces. Someone might say something simple, but you might sense something else beneath it. Or you might say something with good intentions, but the other person might interpret it completely differently. Because communication is sensitive this week, as you know, Mercury retrograde continues. You need to be especially careful about misunderstandings with your close circle, siblings, relatives, and neighbors, people you constantly talk to and are in contact with. But of course, this week also has a positive side. This week, a conversation could heal you in a very positive way. You might be able to calmly address something that's been bothering you for a long time, realizing, so this is how it is. An explanation from someone might bring you relief. If you're having communication problems with your sibling or someone close to you, you can resolve them. For example, you might go out for a coffee. Even that coffee could change your whole mood. Home and family matters are also one of the busiest areas this week. There might be activity at home, moving, relocating, changing rooms, etc. The house might be crowded, guests might arrive, and you'll need to host them. More people, more plates at the table. On one hand, you might feel good about yourself. You want to establish order, but it might also be tiring. People are always rushing around, and you might want some peace and quiet at home, some solitude. On the other hand, you might be happy that people have come over and you're having fun, or you might be moving house, renovating. The outcome might make you happy, but on the other hand, there might be a side that says, I want to take a breath now, I want to calm down. So, if you've shown too much understanding, especially regarding home or family, you reach a point where you say, I can't ignore this anymore. Okay, I showed understanding, but I'm not ignoring what was done to me. I have my own desires, my own thoughts, and I want to move forward this way. On the other hand, the love aspect is very strong. It's emotional and somewhat connected to the past. An old love, an old flirtation, an old conversation, a story left unfinished in the past can resurface in your mind. If you're single, someone from the past might return, or even if someone new comes along, you might feel an old emotion. I've experienced this before. It feels like I've talked about this before. I've felt this way before. Quote. But the important thing here is not to let every person who returns back into your life. Sometimes people return to show you what you don't want anymore, how you don't want things to progress. To say, look, I did a great job, or, yes, I need to move on with my life. So, it's important not to get stuck in one place. And I also need to mention this. For example, a forgotten topic, a forgotten special day. A special day related to affection, love, romance. It could be a wedding anniversary, Valentine's Day. There's something else. Like the day you met, your birthday. A forgotten topic can come up again. For example, your spouse might have missed your birthday before, not celebrated it. They might make a gesture. Or you might experience something that takes you back to that day, and you think, but you didn't do that for me. It can have an emotional impact on you. I'm talking about an effect that takes you back to the past, that can reawaken an old feeling. If you have children, issues related to them might come up. It could be a conversation, education, health. It shows that these things can be on your agenda. A development in your child's life might make you question something. I wonder if I've become too preoccupied with other people's problems and put my own life and my child in the background. Of course, nobody wants to put their child in the background. They're more important than anything else. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just saying that at some point you might notice something. Like, you're constantly running around trying to do things for them. They're always expecting something from you, but you want to be there for your child during their best times, or you're thinking, my child needs me, I want to do more. That's what I'm trying to say. On the work side, your colleagues might support you. You might receive support from your colleagues. They might notice something about what you're doing. You're working hard, trying to achieve something. You might hear something like, "Yes, you did this. We couldn't have done it without you." Quote. I also need to say that there's a deep cleansing going on in your inner world. Your dreams, your intuition, your subconscious will be more active. You might have a little trouble falling asleep at night. So, this week, regardless of who you are, is going to remind you of your financial obligations and make you realize that you don't have to exhaust yourself no matter what. I hope you have the best time. Thank you so much for listening. And if you like the video, subscribe, and leave a comment, you'll make me very happy. See you in the next video. Goodbye, have a great week.